Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Tuesday, February 3rd. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps this morning. The fact is we are seeing some momentum that's continuing from yesterday, and I like to see that. The S&Ps are up 0.26% this morning. Nice. On the economic calendar, you got that JOLTS report is due out today, but it's being postponed. Why? Because there's a government shutdown. And, guess what? The lawmakers in Washington, they remain at an impasse on funding, the Department of Homeland Security. So Friday's jobs report from the BLS, that also has to be postponed because there's no money to pay the employees. So that's another report that's not going to happen. President Trump is scheduled to meet with the president of Colombia today. I see that's on the table. He did that trade deal with India yesterday. Yeah, positive. It's good to see. We're turning our attention over to, corporate news. And, there's a lot, of earnings happening, of course. A lot of earnings announcements hitting the tape left and right. But the key one for today, the key corporate events happening today are, one, PepsiCo announced $10 billion share buyback. Boeing received a big order from Air Cambodia. That was nice to see. Elon Musk confirms the acquisition of XAI by SpaceX. On the earnings front, we had nice beats from Teradyne and Palantir last night. They're both trading higher after their reports. PayPal, Merck, Pfizer, NXP, Semiconductors, they're all moving lower. But after the bell today, you got reports coming out from AMD, you got Amgen, you got Take-Two Interactive, Chubb, and others, all scheduled reports. So it's a busy day. And then tomorrow morning, you got a lot of the big drug manufacturers going to be reporting. I'm talking Eli Lilly, I'm talking, Novo Nordisk, and others. So yeah, it's a big day for earnings today and tomorrow. Okay, let's take a look at overseas and let's see what's happening over in Germany. We got the DAX up 74 points. That's 0.3% positive. You're seeing a rebound in the metal prices, which is helping to improve the market sentiment. The FTSE, on the other hand, that's down, 60 points. That's 0.59%. There are some gains going on in the miners, but it's offset by some weakness in various sectors like the defense sector. So that's causing some concern. The CAC is down 0.17%. There's some positive action in banking and tech stocks though in Paris. But you're turning last night and you look over at Asia. You got to start off with what happened in Japan. I mean, the Nikkei jumped 3.92%. That's over 2,000 points in a single session. And it's now trading at a fresh new high with strong advances in tech and financial stocks. Hong Kong didn't really follow suit. They were up 0.22%. They did have gains in property and financial names, which provided support to the market. China, the Shanghai market, was up 1.29% last night, rebounded from the prior session losses. I mean, that recovery in the metal prices really helped stabilize the sentiment and encourage people to be buying, the weakness. And, that's why you saw that market jump 1.29% overnight. Now we're turning the attention. We're looking over at oil, and oil is ebbing higher this morning. You got WTI at $62.55. You got Brent at $66.61. Listen, they're up about 0.4%. It's firm. It's a firmer opening, but you got to remember there's a lot of catalysts on the table here. I mean, number one, you got Iran and the U.S. are scheduled for talks on Friday. A deal, if something occurs, that could wipe out $10, in Middle East premium. And then you get the U.S.-India trade deal. That's positive. India's going to be buying more oil from the U.S., less from Russia. That's positive. So, yeah, I think oil is, the catalysts look a little bit like it's going to create some negative selling pressure on oil, more than yesterday. Because yesterday, you got to remember, we were down 4% yesterday. Yesterday was a big loss, but there's could be more losses ahead. But a lot of it depends on what happens on Friday in these talks. Okay, let's get into earnings action. Take a look at Teradyne, ticker TER, Tom Edward Richard. Yes, this was my pick of the day. The stock beat by 42 cents on higher revenue. Stock's up 23% this morning. Thank you. PepsiCo, ticker PEP, Paul Edward Paul. They also delivered a beat. They beat by 2 cents. They did it on higher revenue. They did a big buyback. The stock's down 0.44%. Pfizer, that's ticker PFE, Paul Frank Edward. They beat by 9 cents. They did it on higher revenue. That stock's down 4.69% this morning. Looking up for what's happening after the bell, you got AMD. Their EPS is $1.33. Expected move is 8.36%. You got Amgen, AMGN. Their EPS is $2.74. Expected move is 4.53% when they release after the bell. In terms of economic reports, there's nothing happening. I mean, there was the JOLTS report scheduled, but that's been pulled. It's been pulled because of the government shutdown. But at 8 p.m. This morning, Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin is scheduled to be giving a speech. That's something to watch out for. Okay, let's take a look at the markets. It's flat. The FANG stocks are trading higher. I will have to say the FANG stocks are trading higher. Dow is, like 16 higher, 14 lower. But I am seeing, other than Apple, the rest of the FANG stocks are trading higher. That's good to see. Now, there's talk out there about Apple missing the AI boom. It's overdone. They're saying, that they're not going to be able to get the critical materials that they need in order to produce iPhones in the future because of the demand from other AI companies. Doesn't make sense to me. Apple, first off, Apple's not really an AI company as much as they want to say they are because it makes for good publicity. They're not doing the AI spend like the other firms are because they're a product. They're a manufacturer of technology products. And when features in AI come out there, they will incorporate them into their products. But they're not trying to be an AI firm. So, they will need critical materials for their products, but, they're one of the biggest buyers out there. And I don't think, suppliers are going to turn their nose up at one of their biggest buyers for years. Doesn't make sense. Amazon.com announced today that it's delivered to Prime members around the world. It was the fastest speed ever in 2025. Google to spend $4.75 billion to help find enough electricity for data centers and whatnot. Now, you're talking Netflix. That Senate hearing is today on the competitive impact of the proposed Netflix-Warner Brothers merger. That's scheduled for today at 2:30. It's going to be very partisan. The Republicans are going to say, we don't think this is a good idea. You're going to control the marketplace. Listen, Larry Ellison's back is ready to write checks for any Republicans that help his son get that access to Warner Brothers. But Warner Brothers wants to do the deal with Netflix because they know a merger with Netflix is better for them long term, even though it is now an all cash offer. Okay, let's move on to Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we got to start off with Disney, Fubo TV, and ESPN announced plans for a reseller agreement. Boeing, ticker BA, they announced that Air Canada ordered up to 20 737 MAX airplanes. Then you got NVIDIA. OpenAI CEO came out and said, NVIDIA makes the best chips in the world. There was some, quiet shakeout yesterday saying that OpenAI is looking for alternatives to NVIDIA's chips. I'm sure they are. There just aren't because NVIDIA makes the best chips in the world. So, he might say he's on the lookout for them, but he doesn't see anything. So he's out there making nice. And plus, he's expecting a big investment from NVIDIA. They're not going to switch suppliers. It's not going to happen. Okay, in terms of guidance news, Pfizer backs its 2026 EPS view of $2.80 to $3. Street estimates at $2.97. Yeah, that's why the stock's off. I mean, that's not a good, estimate for the year. It's okay. It's just not great. Merck, ticker MRK, they see full year 2026 adjusted EPS coming in $5 to $5.15. Street estimates $5.63. You look at Merck, it's down, 0.7%. Not bad, but their guidance was not good. But Teradyne, ticker TER, they see Q1 EPS coming in $1.89 to $2.25. Street estimate was at $1.25. That's a huge beat. That's why you see that stock just ripping this morning. What else we got in terms of buyback news? JJSF, J&J Snack Foods announced a 50 million share repurchase authorization. PepsiCo announced a new 10 billion share stock buyback. PayPal, they said that they have plans for $6 billion in share buybacks in 2026. Nice. Okay, let's move on to our stock of the day, which is JCI, John Charlie India, which is Johnson Controls. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is 84 cents. Expected move is 7.42%. Look at yesterday's call volume, 5,378 versus 2,377. I like that. Open tits 2-1. Open interest 54K versus put volume, put open interest of 29K. Again, that's positive. And the major brokers continue to raise price targets. They got strong ratings on the stock. Johnson Controls is not it's kind of a boring company, but they do a good business. And, listen, I'm looking to get into the stock, 120, 150 to 122, somewhere around there. I'm prepared to see there might be a little weakness because they had a nice run yesterday, but if there's a little weakness today, I want to take advantage of that. But my pick of the day is Johnson Controls, ticker JCI, John Charlie India, 120, 150 to 122 as far as an entry price. Okay, let's move on. Let's see if there's any hot news happening in the last 15 minutes or so. Pfizer sees $5 billion in revenue from COVID-19 products in 2026. Western Digital, ticker WDC, announces an additional $4 billion in share repurchases. PayPal says our execution is not what it needs to be. That's not good. Medtronic's MDT plans to acquire CathWorks. HP CEO steps down. Bruce Broussard was named interim CEO. That's not good. Citibank's getting real positive on the airline front. Talking United Airlines, even JetBlue, they talk about the risk-reward ratio there. Netflix CEO's got to go from the Senate today to talk about their $82.7 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers. That's going to be a circus. Okay, that's all I'm seeing for today. Let's move on and let's talk about how we did on our pick yesterday, which was Teradyne, ticker TER, Tom, Edward, Richard. Stock opened up 241.05, fell to 240.67. Closed at 249.53. There's your 1%. But this morning, Teradyne, ticker TER, is just on fire. I mean, it is on fire this morning after that earnings release. The stock's up, 23% to 307.50. It's up $57.97. So, Teradyne was a winner. Anyway, you got to look at that move and realize that this was a really unique report. Teradyne really delivered a beat. They delivered a phenomenal guidance. It was a very strong report. So Teradyne, ticker TER, Tom, Edward, Richard, was a winner yesterday. Okay, traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.